everyone, it's Lauren. Welcome or welcome back. Today I'm doing another best and worst of one product, and I think it's only fitting to do a bronzer video today. I'm going to talk about the best drugstore and high-end bronzers that I have tried out, as well as the ones that I don't think are the best, basically the worst that I've tried. I feel like now is the perfect time to do a bronzer video just because, yes, I use bronzer year-round, but I do think I use it, a little bit more, or I'm especially using it during the warmer summer months. And where I am, summer has definitely kicked into gear, and I know a lot of parts of the world are, starting summer now, and so that is why I'm doing this video. If you want to check out some of my previous best and worst of one product videos, I've done best and worst blushes, mascaras, dry shampoos, the list goes on, but I'll have that playlist in the upper right hand corner linked now, as well as in the description below. All the products that I'm mentioning today will be linked in the description below as well, so if there's a product that you want to check out and you go to the description, you see a link, if it has a store beside of it, that means the link is an affiliate link, which just is if you go through that link to purchase the product, I can make a commission off of your purchase. It's not going to cost anything extra to you, but I like to always be transparent about that at the start of my videos. But with all that being said, let's get talking about the best and worst bronzers that I've tried out. So I just kind of grabbed my container of all of the bronzers in my collection right now, and I'm going to be talking about pretty much all of them. There's a few that I'm not going to talk about because they're either, not available anymore, or I just don't really think would add much value to the video. They're hard to get, that kind of a thing. But the first bronzer that I want to talk about is from the drugstore, and this is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer. Here's what it looks like. And this bronzer right here is in the shade 01 Sunlight. I believe it's around $11 at Ulta. Pretty much all of these products are available at Ulta, I believe. So the pricing on them is going to be the price that you can find at Ulta. But with drugstore products, as we know, the price can definitely vary. Now for this bronzer right here, it's described as like a matte warm tone bronzer, which I think is perfect for, how I would describe this bronzer. I feel like the main thing for me of what it does and the way that I use it in my routine is to add depth. So you can see in the pan, I would say that the actual shade does, come across the same way on my skin, the shade in the pan to my skin. And with this particular bronzer, I think it does such a good job at adding depth, but not too much. I will say it can be a little bit patchy if you do not blend it well, but it is relatively easy to blend. I like using this as kind of an initial first step where I apply this first as my bronzer, layer it up to my liking. Some days I just add a little bit. Some days I'm, adding it up a little bit more where I'm wanting a more chiseled look. I'm going for something a little bit more glam. And then I do like to, because it is matte and I do have pretty dry skin, I like topping it with maybe more of a luminous bronzer, something that has a little bit of radiance to it, and so that's how I use it typically. I also think it works really well as a crease shade. Sometimes when I'm traveling and know that I'm not going to be doing really crazy eye makeup or anything, I'll just use this in my crease, and I know that I don't have to bring any other eyeshadow, so that can be perfect. So there's a lot of different ways for me to use this. I really don't have any, qualms about it whatsoever. It's one of my favorites when it comes to a matte bronzer from the drugstore. And as far as, some, call outs with this product, it is a cruelty-free product and it is also vegan. So now for one that I definitely need to re-up on soon because I am running low on it, and it's definitely my favorite bronzer that I have in my collection at the moment. I go through waves, and let me just tell you, this is the one bronzer. If you like shimmer, this is the one you need. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. You guys have probably heard of it. I've repurchased it a million times. I've talked about it a million times on my channel, and I know so many other people have as well. So I don't want to harp on this for too long, but really, it is the tried and true. It's $16 at Ulta, and they have now a little bit larger of a shade range than they did back in the day. So if you checked it out and you couldn't find a shade that worked for you then, possibly check it out again now because you might find a difference. For me, I just use the bronzer shade. They have one that's just called bronzer, and that's what I use. This is my favorite shimmery bronzer, hands down, but specifically from the drugstore, it is my favorite bronzer. This is one of the ones that I would use over that Milani bronzer when I'm wanting to add a little bit more shimmer, but this product on its own can add quite a bit of depth as well, some dimension. It provides radiance and dimension, and that's really what I love about this product. Again, it's another one of those cruelty-free products. It also is gluten-free, so if that's a concern for you, this is one of the products that can definitely help, even though honestly when you smell this product you would think it has all kinds of I don't know, because it's so sweet and strong scented. So if you do have kind of an aversion to scented things, this kind of has a tropical coconut scent to it, and it is strong. You get a whiff of it and you're dang. But for me, even though I don't love the smell on it, and I don't normally mind scented products, the way that it actually works on my skin, it makes it all the more worth it. I'm not really showing the inside because if I do, it'll probably like crack everywhere, and I'm really trying to like use up the last of this before I'm able to get another one in my hands. But really, when I think about this bronzer, I think that it is the most blendable and buildable one on the market, specifically at the drugstore, but I would say that it would go up against a lot of the higher end ones as well. So if for some reason you haven't tried the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, definitely recommend getting your hands on it some way, somehow. So now for another one of my highly repurchased bronzers. This is the Faced Chocolate Soleil Matte Bronzer. This is the milk chocolate version. I believe it's $34, and this is another one that I've heavily hit pan on because like I said, like these are the ones that I'm going through a lot. So I'm kind of starting off this video with like some of the favorites. Well, I really haven't hit heavy pan on it, but this is one that I would say, again, is more of like a warm tone. It kind of looks orangey in the pan. Like, let me open it up one more time. It kind of looks orangey in the pan. I would say it does come across a little more warm tone than some of the other ones, a little bit more on the orangier side, but it's not anything that's going to make you look like an Oompa Loompa or anything like that. So it's not too extreme when you actually apply it to the skin, but it's one of those matte bronzers. And I feel like the main standout with this one is that it is so highly pigmented that it is not only, when I say that it's like a buildable product, yes, you do have to be careful. You can't like dig your brush in there and then just like apply it under your face. Like you need to be a little bit more gentle when it comes to application, but you really can build it up to your liking and get the amount of, you know, pigment added to your face that you're looking for. It's one that you can definitely build up. So for me, I love using it during times where I'm wanting something a little more high glam. I'm wanting to add some real depth, some real dimension to my face and sculpt it a little bit more than I would on the typical day-to-day. Of course, I can use this when I'm wanting something a little bit more subtle by not adding as much and, you know, building it up a little bit less. But it really is special when it comes to how you're able to really build it up when you're looking to kind of transform your face shape a little bit more. This is one that I think works really well for that. And on top of that, the pigment, because it is so pigmented, I find that it really does stay on for a long time. Like I'm not having to worry about, you know, certain areas of, and I don't have to worry about this too often, I do have to say, just because my skin type isn't prone to, you know, I don't struggle with makeup wearing off too much, but this is a bronzer that I know, like when I put it on in the morning, if I'm not going to be able to, you know, retouch up my makeup or anything for 8 hours, even if it's a special event, whatever, I know that this is going to stay on. And like when I take off my makeup at night, like whenever I use this bronzer, my makeup wipe is filled. Like you can see, like, or not wipe, but like the little round that I use when I'm cleaning my makeup, it is full of this bronzer, which I like because that means it stayed on all day. None of it wore off throughout the day. Quick side note though, if you are someone that does have an aversion to scents, this one is not nearly as strong as the Physicians Formula one. It's very subtle. It says that it's infused with 100% coconut, no, 100% cocoa powder. So it does have some sort of like sweet smell to it. I don't know if I necessarily have gotten chocolate. I never really have from the Too Faced like scented chocolate things, but I think it smells really nice. It's sweet, it's subtle, but just so you know, if scents aren't your thing, then you may not enjoy this. This is also another one of those cruelty-free products. Now moving on to a little bit more of a pricier product similar to the Too Faced one that I just mentioned. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof Bronzer. It's $30. I have mine in the shade Park Avenue Princess. This is one that I've had for quite a while, but I still do enjoy it. Would I say that it's my favorite bronzer of all time? Would I recommend it over some of the other shimmery bronzers that I'm recommending today? Probably not, but because it is in my collection, I do use it and I enjoy it. Here's what the inside of it looks like. This is a shimmery, definitely more warm tone bronzer. And when I say shimmery, I'm not saying as like, the thing is, in the pan, it doesn't look like it's any more shimmery or has any more like glow to it or glittery effect or anything. It's not really glittery. It's just the shimmer is just a lot more extreme when you compare it to some of the other ones that I'm talking about. It's definitely not as natural. It doesn't come across quite as natural. You can get it to look natural if you really, you know, don't use a ton. But if you're looking to have color and, you know, have your bronzer really make an impact, then you're definitely going to get a good bit of shimmer. But maybe that's something that you enjoy. So I think that's worthy of noting. I mean, with this bronzer, I do find it to be very easy to build up. So you can decide how much you're willing to go with that. And I would say as far as blendability, because I feel like when I think about bronzers, I think about how buildable they are and how blendable they are. And with this one, it is pretty blendable as well. I don't think it's the easiest bronzer to work with. I do think, you definitely, you know, have to really build it up. Like the color is not gonna, the payoff is not instantly there, which is probably what makes it easier to build and blend. So I think there's pros and cons to that. You just kind of have to know yourself as a consumer and what you're looking for. And then as far as like whether it's waterproof or not, I mean, I've never really jumped in the pool with this bronzer. Like whenever I'm like, know that I'm gonna be going to the lake or whatever, I'm not typically wearing a bronzer, and if I am, it's a very, very, very minimal amount. And honestly, I don't really think maybe I've once before used this and kind of tested it out. I can't even remember, so I can't really speak to that claim, but I can say it is pretty long wearing. It's not quite as long wearing as maybe the Too Faced one, because again, the pigment just is not there like that. It definitely focuses more on the shimmer than the color. But as for any like special call-outs with this product, I know that the product is vegan. So, you know, if that's something that's important to you, then this may be one you want to try out. So when I think back to old school beauty YouTube 2014 era, this is like the #1 bronzer that comes to mind. And I want to say that back then, this was a bronzer that was definitely leaps and bounds ahead of so many of the the other bronzer formulas out there. But now I just don't know if it's really stood up to that claim. This is the Benefit bronzer. This is the Hoola bronzing powder, and it's $30. One thing I will just say is I think that the packaging on the Benefit box powder products, I think they're great. Like, I love their blushes in general, like the actual products. I really liked the highlighters. But I've always had, this is an issue I've always had with these box, you know, bronzer specifically, is that I can't fit a bronzer brush in here. Like, yes, I can, but I have to really manipulate my brush in order to like disperse the product evenly and for it to apply on my face well. Like, it makes it very difficult to, you know, make it look the way that I want to, because fitting a brush in here is kind of difficult. And first off, I feel like I've used more than those. So I feel like I definitely, like, this is not my first box of Benefit Hoola, but here's what it looks like. You can see even that I made a pretty good dent on it. I feel like I've had this particular one in my collection for a while now, but I'm really not reaching it for it that often because, one, it's hard to use when it comes to actually applying the product. And I feel like back in the day, that was something I was really able to like but it was something that I was able to like overlook because the bronzer was just like, the formula was just so much better than a lot of the other options that I had. But now, not only is it not that, but using it's difficult. So there's those two issues for me. It's really not that blendable of a formula, that buildable of a formula. Like, I feel like there are definitely times, no matter what I do, it will remain looking kind of unnatural and just not very smooth on my face, and that's something I definitely don't want. I mean, yes, it's a good, warm, natural-ish matte bronzer, but it's just not anything special, and there's so many ones, high-end and drugstore, that I like better than this one, so I can't really say that I recommend it now. Like, unless you've tried it before and you know that you love it and, you know, you have a draw towards Benefit or whatever, like, it's not even cruelty-free. Like, I don't know really what pulls me to this product ahead of any other ones, so this is one that, no, it is not the worst, but I just don't think it's worth it or the price. Now let's talk about a bronzer from Nars. This is a mini version, but I'll be giving you the price for the mini as well as full size. So this is the Nars Laguna Bronzer. Here's what it looks like. The full size of this will retail for $38, but this, like, the mini size is gonna retail for $18. So just know this right here is the mini version, but here's what the inside of it looks like. It's kind of like a warm brown bronzer, Laguna in particular, and I'm not sure if you can see, I feel like it's not really showing, but it has a very subtle, like, golden shimmer to it, but it's definitely, like, subtle, it's natural. It's not like some of the other ones that I mentioned that are going to be a little bit more bam, in your face type of shimmer. I feel like with this bronzer, it's just a good bronzer. Like, I feel like this is one that definitely was hyped up around the same time as the Benefit one, but I feel like this one has stood the test of time a little bit more. Yes, there are ones that I feel like are probably just as good as this one at the drugstore, but I do think that this one is special in that it's buildable to where you're really able to figure out, like, you know, build it up to your desired amount of color that you're looking for and maybe shimmer and add the dimension. Like, it is one that I feel like, for me personally, with my complexion, this shade Laguna, I know they have other ones. For me, this is one that I feel like out of all my bronzers, is the closest to a contour product. So if I'm wanting a bronzer that can really contour a little bit more for me, I'm not wanting to bring a whole other type of product, because it is a little bit more, it's not cool toned, but it's just not quite as warm toned as some of the other ones. This is one that can kind of double as a contour for me, especially more so in comparison to the other ones that I've mentioned. I feel like on top of the buildability, how buildable this product is, I feel like the blendability with this product is definitely there. I'm getting tongue-tied, goodness. But this is a product that I overall really do enjoy. If you're someone like me who does really enjoy Nars, I feel like their products are overall very consistent. I'm always wanting to try out something new from them because I do like so much of what I've tried before. This product is no different. I will say, in comparison to some of the other ones that I'm mentioning, this is another one that is not cruelty-free. So if that's important to you, I did want to go ahead and make that known here. Alright, that about closes out today's video. If you enjoyed it and you want to see more of my best and worst videos, as I mentioned, I will have that playlist to those other videos linked in the description below. I also would love to know what your favorite and, I guess least favorite bronzers. I'd love to know which ones to avoid as well in the comments down below. As you saw, some of my favorite bronzers that I was talking about, they definitely had some pretty dense pan in there. You could definitely tell I'm running low, so I'm always open to trying new products, and I would love to hear what you guys recommend I try next. But thank you so much for being here and watching my video today and just checking out my channel if you're new. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a great couple of days until my next video is uploaded, and I'll see you when it is. Bye!